Greetings. My name is Mike Angel. I'm the rector of Holy Communion, and today we're in for a treat. We do a series at Holy Communion called The Forum, and it's a chance to engage in questions of life and spirituality and politics and what's going on in our world. Today we get to hear from the St. Patrick Center, from two leaders from the St. Patrick Center. St. Patrick Center partners with us on our house on Gannon Street. If you've been around the church for a while, you might have been one of the volunteers that helped us renovate the property the church owns on Gannon, make a house livable. And we did that with the hope of being involved in questions of justice and housing in our area. We partnered at first with a nonprofit called Magdalene House, and then a little over a year ago, through the hard work of our treasurer, Brian Barnhart, began a partnership with the St. Patrick Center to house someone who had experienced homelessness in the house on Gannon. And so we're really delighted to welcome a couple of leaders from St. Patrick Center to the forum today to talk with us a little bit about the state of homelessness in our area. Thanks for joining us for the forum.
We're recording. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. First, I want to say thank you for inviting St. Patrick Center to present to you on our different programs and what's going on in our community and what's going on during COVID within our community in the state of homelessness in St. Louis. Again, thank you, Brian Barnhart and the congregation at Holy Communion. This is a really cool thing you've asked us to do. But first, I want to introduce myself. My name is Jonathan Belcher. I'm one of the Senior Director of Programs, and I oversee our long-term transformation programs at St. Patrick Center. And I've been with St. Patrick Center for over 10 years, and in my current role, almost 4 years. Also on the call is Lana Watson.
Hi, good morning. I am also Senior Director of Programs, and I oversee the short-term transition programs. I've been with St. Patrick Center a little over 10 years as well, and I've been in this current role for 4 years.
Great. St. Patrick Center was first founded in 1983 by Edith Cunane, and it is the largest independent homeless service provider in Missouri. And our mission statement is St. Patrick Center provides opportunities for self-sufficiency and dignity to people who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless. Individuals and families build permanent positive change in their lives through safe and affordable housing, sound mental and physical health, and employment and financial stability. In all of our programs at St. Pat, all of our programs and our agency follow a philosophy called Housing First, which means we do not require any preconditions or require any commitment prior to program entry. This allows us to meet our clients where they are and work on their goals as they see fit. This also allows us to lower barriers to housing. We do not require sobriety, mental health stabilization, or a commitment to working with case management. And we went to this philosophy probably about, I would say, 4 to 5 years ago. And what it really has done for our community and our agency is we have swiftly housed individuals who really need to get into housing and then work on their goals towards either sobriety, employment, mental health. It's been a really, really good way to serve those individuals who have been long-term chronically homeless for a long time. And in order to get into our system and our services at St. Patrick Center, all the agencies in St. Louis follow a system called Coordinated Entry, which is a community-wide system that prioritizes individuals and families based on their vulnerability, length of homelessness, disability, and conditions for someone either having housing instability or experiencing homelessness. If you are chronically homeless, meaning you have been homeless for more than a year or have 5 specific episodes in 3 years, you will be prioritized sooner than anybody else and get into some type of housing intervention. And our system really prioritizes individuals who have greater needs. Anyone experiencing homelessness can enter our collaborative system by calling our housing helpline 211, meet with an outreach worker, enter into a shelter, or come to St. Patrick Center. And when someone enters our system, we may try to prioritize their need and help them right then and there. But as you can imagine, the need is greater than the available resources. And we really do try to make some level, make sure that someone has, their needs met. May it be us getting them groceries or, giving a call to the landlord or a family member to try to get them back into housing. Um, Sometimes we've been able to assist individuals who have just one episode of homelessness by calling, their family member, paying a utility bill, trying to do something so that they don't have to spend the night out on the street or in a shelter. So when I talk about our community COC wide system, it really kind of breaks down into three different kind of pots or buckets of where someone can be referred to. One is prevention, which is going to be the lowest acuity score. And when I talk about acuity score, um, we use what is called a VI SPDAT, which is really just a vulnerable index assessment that based on the higher needs you have, the higher acuity you are, the kind of the worse off that you are within our system, and the more need you have to get into something quicker. So the lower acuity score, you're going to be scoring for more prevention services. So kind of talking about, does someone need to get a utility bill paid? Do we need to get some groceries? Do we, pay a couple months back rent? Whatever we can do to make sure that individual does not enter the homelessness system, or they can maintain or keep their housing that they have right there. And then more medium acuity score is called rapid rehousing. And that's an intervention for which Lana will actually talk about a little bit more here in a little bit. But individuals who score for that need more of a shorter term intervention of typically 12 months or less. That could be financial, case management assistance, but typically means that you're going to get some type of or you're in need of some type of housing assistance through case management, short-term financial assistance. And then the highest acuity score, which someone would score for permanent supportive housing. And permanent supportive housing is a housing and case management intervention that pairs the individual or family with a housing voucher or subsidy payment and case management. Most permanent supportive housing programs require that individuals or families be chronically homeless and have a disability. There are some programs that do not require to be chronically homeless and have different requirements. For example, St. Patrick's Center has a program called Project Protect that works with families that are homeless and have children in DFS custody or at risk of being taken into DFS custody. So for that program, you don't have to be chronically homeless, but you do have to have a disability and have children in DFS custody or at risk. And there's other programs that are permanent supportive housing programs in our community that do not require chronically homeless, but typically our Housing Urban Development, a government agency, tailored a lot of the permanent supportive housing program to work with those who are chronically homeless so that we can make sure that they get off the street sooner and have their needs met. What is unique about permanent supportive housing programs is that the lease and subsidy payment, the programs require that the landlord enter into a lease agreement with the agency, and the agency subleases to the client. This allows us to swiftly move clients through our system and get them housed same day if need be. The great thing about this subsidy is that the agency pays the landlord 100% of the rent, and in some cases can pay all the utilities as well. Another permanent supportive housing program, which is the longest running permanent supportive housing program at St. Patrick's Center, is called Shelter Plus Care. And it is different from the program I described above. First, case management is not required. And the difference in the lease structure is that the lease is in the client's name and the subsidy payment is based on the client's income and their debts. Someone will typically pay 30% of their income towards their rent, and that goes directly to the landlord. And the client also pays that 30%, again, pays that 30% of their income towards the landlord, and the other 70% comes from St. Patrick's Center or the service provider that has the Shelter Plus Care subsidy. Right, and then Lana's going to talk about rapid rehousing, our grant per diem programs, and our relationship with the Gannon House.
So as John mentioned earlier, rapid rehousing is a short-term rental assistance, generally for those who are more self-sufficient and do not have as high needs as permanent supportive housing clients. The national average in rapid rehousing programs is for an organization to pay about 6 months of rent per household. However, if the household needs more assistance, that rent can last up to 2 years if they need it and if funding is available for that long. In this program, the client does have the lease in their name, and so St. Patrick Center is just helping them to pay their rent. Often in rapid rehousing, we do kind of like what we call a step down program, where initially to get someone into a place, we might pay their security deposit and their first month's rent. And for the first month or two, we might help them pay their full rent, but then we gradually decrease the amount of rent and assistance that we give to them, so that when they're no longer in our program, they are able to pay all of their bills on their own and remain stably housed. We also use wraparound services to attempt to assist them with whatever needs they might need, whether it's getting into counseling, getting health needs met that they might have, additional income, or, just the list can go on and on. But we try to empower our clients and allow the clients to use self-determination to make choices that's going to affect their lives for the long term. And then for our grant per diem programs, these are programs that are for veterans, and it's a short-term transitional program which homeless veterans can go into. These are primarily designed for veterans who have mental health issues and or substance use issues. So it's a clinical setting which allows them to go to groups and to get intensive case management when necessary. Typically, they can stay up to about 2 years. However, we are trying to transition them into permanent housing a little quicker than that if possible. We currently have one that has 50 units in it, and then we have 2 brand new GPD programs which are starting, and one is called TIP, which stands for Transition in Place. We will have 20 units there. And in that, it basically works just like a rapid rehousing program of sorts, in that we will assist the client with paying rent, but then it will transition into them paying their own rent, and they will stay in that exact same unit that they were living in. And then we also have what they call bridge beds, and that is for veterans who have some type of rental subsidy. It may be Section 8, or it might be a HUD-VASH voucher, which is basically Section 8 for veterans, or some other kind of subsidy to move into an apartment and not have to pay as much rent. And so the bridge bed is just short-term, maybe 2-3 months for a veteran to get off the streets until they move into their permanent housing situation. We also have a workforce development program at St. Patrick Center, and that program is used to assist clients in obtaining income if they have no income, or in sustaining more, more reliable income if they just have like part-time work or something that is not enough for them to pay their bills. We work through many barriers that they have to staying employed and becoming employed in order to assist them with becoming successful in the employment world. And we use a best practice which is called supportive employment, which is basically just kind of holding their hand and walking them through the process, and even following up with an employer if necessary at times to make sure that they are doing what they need to do while they're employed. And then I also want to talk about the Gannon House. We're so grateful for your partnership that you entered into with us last summer, allowing us to rent the house from you and put our clients into. As some of you may know, we had a client and his son who was there starting last summer, and they just recently moved out. The family's doing well. They have now been exited out of our program because they are stably housed. He's still working, and the family altogether is doing really well. And then a couple of weeks ago, we moved in another family. It was a woman with 4 small children. And I know that she will benefit from being a part of this because of the support and the encouragement that all of you provide to those individuals who are staying in your house. And so again, we just really thank you for that partnership and for the opportunity to partner with you in that way.
All right, thanks, Lana. Another bucket of programs that we have at St. Patrick's Center are called the behavioral health programs. And the first longest running program we have at St. Patrick's Center is called our Shamrock Club. And it's a drop-in center for individuals who are homeless or experiencing homeless or housing insecure. It is also a licensed substance use and mental health outpatient treatment program. And primarily services we have groups, we have individual counseling, we have substance use, mental health groups, counseling. We also have trauma-focused services that also come with individual counseling, group counseling, and then we also have a psychiatrist for those very part-time psychiatrists for those individuals who are not connected to a community mental health center or other psychiatry within our community. The biggest thing about our Shamrock Club is that sobriety is not required. We don't require that somebody is sober when they walk in the building or they even come up. Now, granted, if somebody is at the point where they are unable to maintain themselves or causing an issue or disturbance, we're going to ask them to leave and come back tomorrow. The biggest thing, again, is that we don't require sobriety before someone walks within our door. We also do have some clients who have been housed using our Shamrock services, and they continue to come back for years for aftercare services. So they utilize that program time and over again to make sure that they maintain their sobriety after they utilize those supports. And some of the staff that we have working in Shamrock have been there 10, 15 years. So they really have gotten to know the clients who started off as homeless, went through the program, got housed, and they continue to come back because of the relationship that they have with our staff and the services that we provide. And one of the great things that we're able to provide to our community is called the Casserole Program, where we serve lunch every day to anybody who needs it. There's only one day a year that we don't serve lunch, and that's the day that our entire agency has our annual staff day away, where we get together, we team build, we do some other things. But other than that, we are open 364 days a year. We serve during Thanksgiving, Christmas, any days that we're off, we're serving lunch to the community of anyone who needs it. We've had individuals who are working at the just across the street at the education building who come in for lunch just because they like it. And of course, individuals who really need something to eat, they come in as well. And the casseroles and the portions that we serve are really designed that if that's one thing that someone has to eat that day, that's going to be enough calories that's going to help them, sustain, their energy and their nutrition for that day. So obviously, with COVID, during COVID, this has changed a little bit with our services and serving lunch. We did have to shut down serving lunch. We have a kind of a lunchroom school setting with those lunch tables and everything for people to come in. We're able to serve about 250 people through a steady flow of individuals coming in, but we had to stop that during COVID because of the risk to ourselves and the risk to clients who are coming up and eating casseroles every single day. So what we did is we actually developed kind of a shuffleboard. It's the best way I can describe it, where we're able to actually shuffle the lunches down a table where individuals who are 6 feet apart can come up, grab the lunch, and then go eat. We started off just serving sack lunches, and we decided to buy to-go containers, and we started serving hot lunches a couple months ago. And it's been really open, and the clients have really enjoyed actually getting the hot lunches again. But again, that's one of our longest term running programs, and we are going to continue to do it where we're serving lunch outside just as we see cases go up and as a safety precaution to our staff at St. Patrick's Center and our clients in the community. Another program under behavioral health is called Assertive Community Treatment. And we serve individuals who are housing insecure and have 2 or more inpatient psychiatric admissions within a year. The individuals in this program suffer from a severe and persistent mental illness and need daily support by dropping off medications, taking someone to the grocery store, helping them do side-by-side cleaning, meaning, we're, helping them sweep up, clean dishes, tidy their apartments, teaching them how to do that. One of the vital services we provide is taking clients to the doctor or go see our psychiatrist who's located at St. Patrick's Center and actually on the team, and getting them connected to community or natural supports. This is and one of the easiest way to categorize this program is it is an inpatient psychiatric ward within the community. It's highly successful and empowering program for our clients, and it's some of the clients we have served in this program have been a part of it for almost 10 years, and maintain housing, maintained their mental health awareness, and this program was really set up as a response to deinstitutionalization within our community. So individuals who you would see on the street that are long-term chronic homeless, don't take medication, this program was really set up to serve those individuals. And over time, every individual that we have in the program now is housed. So again, extremely successful program within our community. And then another program we have at St. Patrick's Center, one of our newest and one of our more successful, is called Hospital to Housing. And this has been an innovative partnership with BJC, the big barns off Kings Highway. And what we do there is we're working with the highest utilizers in the emergency department who are experiencing homelessness or housing insecure and have a substance use or mental health issue. And individuals in this program, to qualify when I say the highest utilizers of the ED, it's anybody who's had 10 or more emergency department visits within 6 months. One of the individuals we served in this program, I think, had over 80 ED visits within 6 months. So extremely costly to the hospitals and our community resources. So what we do is we immediately place referrals that came from the emergency department into housing and provided daily, weekly services around getting someone a primary care physician, getting them into psychiatry, and working on some really very basic needs, such as getting someone food stamps or getting them food in the apartment, and or getting them connected to Medicaid, getting a state ID, just some real basic services. Other services we provide are very similar to what Assertive Community Treatment does, so daily medication drops, side-by-side cleaning, and helping our clients become good neighbors within the community. Our early impact data shows that we reduced the cost of the hospital by $230,000, representing an annual savings of $381,000 or 71% to the hospital. Financial data, that the cost savings is extremely impactful to the entire community that we're in, not only the hospital, but the biggest impact I would say is on the clients that we are serving. Getting them connected into housing and the supports that they need to make sure that whatever they're going to the ED for, and it could be simple as wanting to sit there for a shelter, they couldn't get in the shelter, or they needed a place just to go sit to get out of the elements. So far we have served over 20 clients and secured 5 housing placements in the early services we provided this program. A part of our hospital programming is our Hospital to Housing Healthy Initiative and Network. Our Hospital to Healthy Housing Initiative and Network. Where right now we have a homeless housing navigator, and this is a 6-month pilot partnership with SSM Health, SLU Hospital. We provide an on-site homelessness coordinator to connect patients who are homeless with coordinated entry services and community resources before their discharges from the hospital. And we have just been awarded a grant to expand this work within our Healthy to Housing Network and also our H2H programming. We've expanded to work with Mercy, SSM, and BJC area hospitals. So we won't just be working with SSM SLU and BJC, big BJC off Kings Highway. We'll be working with the other hospitals as well for any individual who is needing those housing connections, resources, and we will provide those housing programming to the highest utilizers of those who are in need of housing resources. And Lana's going to talk about St. Patrick's Center's response to COVID.
So I'll start off by telling you a little bit about how we've transitioned our work. First of all, when COVID started back in March, we were told by the city of St. Louis that we were essential workers because of the population that we serve and the vulnerabilities that they have, not only just in general, but with the additional issue of COVID and living on the streets and being more susceptible. So we have been on the front lines the entire time since COVID hit. The only exception to that was back in April, we had 2 staff who contracted COVID, and there had been a lot of exposure to those 2 individuals. And so we had over 20 some individuals who had to quarantine all at the same time. And so for that reason, we closed our building down for 2 weeks, allowing everyone to quarantine who needed to. And then after that, we opened back up every day. And when we did open back up, we went to half of the staff working in the building at one time while the other half worked remotely. And, working remotely depended upon what their job description was. For many frontline staff, case managers, it meant calling their clients and finding out what their needs were via phone or FaceTiming with them or different things like that, as opposed to meeting them in person and dropping off food on their front porch if they needed food. We did different things like that while we were working remotely in order to still ensure that our clients' needs were met. However, for the last few months, we've been in what St. Patrick's Center is calling our phase 2, and that has meant that all of our frontline workers have been working on a daily basis in the office, still doing home visits with clients and different things like that to ensure that we are meeting our clients' needs. Now, folks who do not work on the front lines, who might have administrative positions or secretarial type positions, they have not been coming in on a daily basis. They might just come in a few days a week. And so we also are planning for the week after Thanksgiving and the week after Christmas that we will only have half of our frontline staff in the building. Sorry. So that we can minimize exposure to clients and to other staff who might have gotten exposure during the holidays. And during this time, from March 8th to October the 10th, we served over 1,800 clients and provided over 32,043 services to clients. So you can see through that we did still stay open and meet our clients' needs. We had to be creative and we had to do a lot of different things that, we weren't used to doing, but I have to say that our staff came together and we really followed the mission of St. Patrick's Center to ensure that we are helping our clients. We're giving them a hand up and really helping them to get through this difficult time. And I think John now is going to talk to you a little bit about how the city of St. Louis has responded to COVID and the homeless population.
Thanks, Lana. So the city really responded pretty quickly to COVID by one, well, take a step back. So when COVID happened, one of the things that we saw shelters doing, and even internally, I haven't talked about it yet, but we have our own shelter at St. Patrick's Center, is that if there was a congregate setting where you have, individuals in one room, beds next to each other, some had bunk beds, that we really had to think about, like, how are we going to make sure that people are safe in a congregate setting? So a lot of shelters really started thinning out, so where they could say they're 6 feet apart, if there's a bunk bed, there's only one person in it, and then they're 6 feet apart. So as you can imagine, this really reduced the amount of shelter beds that the city of St. Louis had. So what the city did is they responded very quickly by setting up additional shelters for individuals so that we can, one, make sure that we are allowing people to be in a safe setting where they're able to uh, be 6 feet apart or have individual rooms. And St. Patrick's Center was a part of that response. So we partnered with City of St. Louis, and also Sisters Mission, which is formerly Little Sisters of the Poor, just off not North Newstead, but North Florissant, where we contracted 3 floors, the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th floor. The 6th floor was set up for our Women's Night program, which was at St. Patrick's Center when the pandemic first started, where we actually had 20 women in a congregate setting in our group room in our Shamrock Club. We realized very quickly that that wouldn't work, so the city allowed us to move that program over to Sisters Mission, where we had 17 individual rooms for our women. So individual rooms, individual showers, just they have a space on their own where they can, they can obviously be 6 feet apart, and they have their own spot to live. So that's on the 6th floor at the Sisters Mission, and then the 7th floor is also another floor of another floor for women who need shelter as well, and then the 8th floor was set up for men. So we actually, even though that we contracted with the city to run that, we subcontracted with a group called the Homecrest Group, who were going to provide the shelter services and oversee that floor. So far, we have, I don't have the number off the top of my head right now, but we have served probably over 100 people between the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th floor. And also another aspect of what the Sisters Mission floors were set up for anybody who was more medically frail, who needed an individual room and needed swiftly off the street and needed a shelter bed. That's what those rooms were set up for. As we move into the fall and into the winter season, those rooms are going to be extremely important to make sure that we can, one, make sure no one spends a night out on the street, but anybody who's medically frail and needs an individual room, that those rooms are available. We will be doubling up a few of those rooms so that we can increase our census and get more people off the street, but they're big rooms and we're able to do it safely. Another really great thing that kind of came out of at least the shelter system is the infectious disease control team. We have had weekly technical assistance calls with the infectious disease team in the city of St. Louis. So we've had calls with the infectious disease doctors on a weekly basis to kind of help us problem solve, get through any issues that we see. But also, I think the most important thing that we've gotten from this cause is really that we have, on time, quick knowledge about what we really need to do to make sure that we are reacting to COVID appropriately and responsively. So having that up to date information of wearing a mask, maintaining 6 feet, what's the best practices to make sure that the staff are safe or that our clients are safe. So having that a part of our community and having us available to talk to those doctors on a weekly basis has been extremely important for not only our agency, but for the community to be responsive quickly and to make sure that we are doing the best thing to safely serve our clients and to make sure our staff are safe. Now, the state of homelessness during COVID and right now is it's not obviously great, and we are in need of more shelter. We are in need of more services, and we are definitely in need of more funding as we expect our services will, or the service need will increase. There are still homelessness encampments up around St. Louis, and what we know is that they're not going to disband those encampments, so no one will be displaced, or as we don't have the shelter available for everybody, that there is, at least we know people are in a safe place and that we know where we can bring services to them in case they need it. For example, we have a park right outside of St. Patrick's Center, in between the new square building and St. Patrick's Center, where we had an encampment for a while that we had to disband because of just for safety reasons. And we were able to get, I would say, over 75% of the individuals in that small encampment into shelter within a day or two. So that was a really good response to making sure that we could get clients quickly into shelter. But obviously, for the rest of the encampments and for individuals who are becoming homeless or experiencing homelessness, we are still in need of more shelter. A couple of cool things that have just kind of came up within the past couple weeks and past couple months is that there are 50 small houses being built for veterans in North St. Louis, and then also 50 very small, I guess we'll call them rooms, are being built for individuals who are experiencing homelessness as well, so that the community can make sure that they are, one, off the street, are in a place where there's heat, there's shelter, there's a roof, there's restrooms, there's showers, there's food, and that individuals are not in more of a very small space, that they're able to kind of move around and be safe that way. There's a whole lot more, but I think we're kind of running out of time right now. So Lana's going to talk a little bit more about some things that will be happening after December, and then we'll kind of we'll go through our closing.
So as John mentioned, with COVID and the CARES Act funding, we have had a lot of additional funding and programs that have started or are about to start as a result of that funding. We had prevention funding, which we used to assist individuals who had been affected by COVID and maybe were unable to pay their rent or their utilities, different things like that. We have used all of that prevention funding, except we still have some for folks who are in the county, in St. Louis County. And we can use that for that very same reason. We also were able to secure some funding to expand the Women's Night program, which John talked about earlier. That's our women's shelter beds. And previously we had cots that they slept on in a congregate setting. But with the new funding that we've received, we're able to actually build individual private rooms for the women's shelter. So we're really excited about that. And there's also a new outreach program that will be starting up in December. It's a community-wide outreach program led by St. Patrick's Center. And it is to provide 24-hour assistance to those who may be sleeping on the street. So for example, if a policeman found someone sleeping on the street, they could call the hotline number, contact one of our staff who is an outreach person who could go and work with that individual and try to get them into shelter instead of living on the street. And we also will be coordinating all of the other entities within the community who do homeless outreach as well, so that we try to have a integrated approach to meeting the needs of those who are on the street and getting them into housing. There are also 2 new rapid rehousing programs that will be beginning in January, and they fall under the same rules and regulations that I described to you earlier. One program will be reaching at least 40 households, and then the other program, I think, has a goal of 25 households in that. One of the things that happened as a result of COVID too is that there was an eviction moratorium placed on landlords so that they could not evict tenants during this time period. That moratorium has been extended until December the 31st. And so we as service providers are a little concerned about what's going to happen in the new year as landlords are able to take their tenants to court and start the eviction process. As I stated earlier, the money that we had for that ended very quickly. We're in hopes that we will be able to secure more prevention funding to help individuals who find themselves in that situation come January. However, we're just not sure at this point how much funding that we will have at that time. So we definitely see that as an oncoming need in the new year. And we also know that, there will continue to be individuals who are on the street that will need to be placed into housing in the new year as well. And John, is there anything at this point that I am leaving out?
No, Lana, I did leave something out that I was just thinking about.
Okay.
The City of St. Louis and our COC and other providers are working together on a housing surge. So we are trying to house 100 homeless individuals within 100 days, and that will be starting either in the middle of December or if not the beginning of the new year. Um, but within the CARES Act funding, and part of the programming that Lana was just talking about with rapid rehousing, we are going to try to again serve 100. We're trying to house 100 individuals within 100 days. So that's another response that the City of St. Louis, our COC, and other housing providers are trying to do quickly so that we can get individuals off the street and into housing.
Okay. We truly appreciate the partnership with all of you at Holy Communion and and the desire that you as a church have to help those less fortunate individuals and families who need a hand up to get back on their feet. It just really warms our heart to see that. And we also want to let you know that if you would like more information, that you can peruse our website at www.stpatrickcenter.org. And then John and I look forward to answering any questions that you might have for us on the 6th of December. So thanks again. Thank you for this opportunity and stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.